The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM. The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Truth must be recognized by the black man. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he wanted me to speak for all black people. Think for the whole and speak for the whole. Here's the way I want you to think. If we have 30 million people eating a slice of bread per meal, that's 90 million slices of bread per day. 630 million slices of bread per week. 37,760,000,000 slices of bread per year. How much land must we have under wheat cultivation to give our people their daily bread? Then he said, move on to milk. How much land must we have? How many cows must we own? How much grazing land must we have to give our people a glass of milk with every meal? How many sheep must we have? And how much grazing land must we have to give our people a lamb chop? I didn't say pork chop. Lamb chops. They ain't got to rob nobody. You gotta own the means of production. Then all your businesses will spring up. How much land must we have to give our people a requirement of spinach or broccoli or carrots? Cauliflower, onions, garlic, string beans. All the things that help us to feed ourselves come from the land. How much land must we have? We've got to know just what it takes to feed an entire people. That means we are independent. We've taken our stomach away from our enemies. How much clay land must we have in order to make bricks to start building houses? How much forest land must we have to cut down the trees and make wood to build homes? And we have to have land, and there is no compromising this.
Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
The truth must be recognized by the black man. But the word economics comes from the Greek eikonomikos, but it has come to be defined as the science of production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services, or the material welfare of humanity. Now, a blueprint is something defined that acts as a plan, a model, or something providing guidance. An economic blueprint is exactly what we need. Doctor, you in the house? Lawyer, you in the house? Teacher, you in the house? Preacher, you in the house? Tell me something. If you don't eat well, how long will you practice law? If you don't eat well, you become the patient, doctor. So don't look down on a farmer, look up to a farmer, because today it will be us farming our own land, producing our own food that will save our lives. It hurts me to travel and see us so dependent on others for the basic necessities of life, when the richness of our land is there to produce all that we need and then some.
Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
The truth must be recognized by the black man. We are an international people. Our brothers and sisters are all over the world desirous of doing business with us. But if we are not producing anything, we can't enter into trade and commerce with the nations of the earth. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote in Message to a Black Man, quote, as a people, we must become producers and not remain consumers and employees. We must be able to extract raw materials from the earth and manufacture them into something useful for ourselves. This would create jobs in production. We must remember that without land there is no production, and the surplus of what we produce we would sell. This would help develop a field of commerce and trade as other free and independent people whose population is less than that of ours, so-called Negroes. The truth must be recognized by the black man.
We're talking about revolution because that's the era that you're caught in. You're caught in a revolutionary era.
Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad outlined some basic principles. Number one, recognize the necessity for unity and group operation. Do you understand that if we can work together as a group in unity, we will be more successful, more powerful, more able to do the things that as individuals working by ourselves we have never been able to do. Pool your resources physically as well as financially. Stop wanton criticism of everything that is black owned and operated. Keep in mind that jealousy destroys from within. Observe the operations of the white man. He is successful. He makes no excuses for his failures. He works hard in a collective manner. You do the same. Now, these are things that we must do. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked us to commit to save 5 cents a day. He said if we can save just 5 cents a day from our wages, 25 cents a week for 52 weeks in the year, that would mean we would put aside $13 a year that we could save in a national savings treasury. At that time that he wrote this, we numbered 22 million people and approximately 5 million were wage earners. Well, if 5 million wage earners save $13 a year, this would mean 65 million saved out of our wages in 1 year at the rate of 25 cents per week. It would be painless. Today, brothers and sisters, don't you think we can do better than what we were asked to do 48 years ago? According to government statistics, there are a little over 16 million blacks employed at some level. Well, look what happens if we raise the economic bar and contribute the same nickel a day. The truth must be recognized by the black man.
Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
Malcolm X.
Is that your legal name?
As far as I'm concerned, it's my legal name.
Have you been to court to establish the
I didn't have to go to court to be called Murphy or Jones or Smith. excuse me for answering you this way.
That's
If
all right.
a Chinese person were to say his name was Patrick Murphy, you would look at him like he's insane, because Murphy is an Irish name, a European name, or the name that has a Caucasian or white background. And a yellow person, Chinese is a yellow man, and he has nothing to do or no connection whatsoever with the name Murphy. And if it doesn't look proper for a person who is yellow or Chinese to be walking around named Murphy or Jones or Johnson or Bunch or Powell, I think it would be just as improper for a black person or the so-called Negro in this country, as we're taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to walk around with these names. And therefore he teaches us that during slavery, the same slave master who owned us put his last name on us to denote that we were his property. So that when you see a Negro today who's named Johnson, if you go back in his history, you'll find that he was once his grandfather, or one of his forefathers was owned by a white man who was named Johnson. His name is Bunch. His grandfather was owned by a white man that was named Bunch.
Would you mind telling me what your father's last name was?
My father didn't know his last name. My father got his last name from his grandfather, and his grandfather got it from his grandfather, who got it from the slave master. The real names of our people were destroyed during slavery.
Was there any line, any point in the genealogy of your family when you did have to use the last name, and if so, what was it?
The last name of my forefathers was taken from them when they were brought to America and made slaves. And then the name of the slave master was given, which we refuse. We reject that name today.
You mean you won't even tell me what your father's supposed last name was, or gifted last name was?
I never acknowledge it whatsoever.
Let me ask you about the status of Elijah Muhammad. First of all, is he ill?
I spoke to him today. He is in better health than he has been.
All right. So, here we are once again. Let me know if you're hearing. Right. So, welcome to another Saturday morning here on the Street 919 FM. And we have come through another week in Trinidad and Tobago. A week that has had so many issues. Sorry, just sorting out some issues here. More issues.
To be walking around named Murphy.
So during this week, we would have crossed the record all-time high murder rate of 550 murders. But at the same time, we experienced some really dreadful flooding, and that within itself, of course, maybe distracting away from the murders, but created another serious type of problems. Many people would have lost their property damage, lost a lot of tools and equipment, household items. The government has announced a certain amount of money will be given out as grants for those who suffered the loss. Some areas have had as high as 10 feet of water. And we have had some really extraordinarily heavy rainfall, which none of the meteorologists seem to be able to explain, at least not before it happens. They very often have theories after it happens, but not before. And so we pray that those who have suffered damage could be comforted in one way or another, and that they can get back on their feet. Really terrible situation. I had a relative who I had visited yesterday who had shown me that an a lightning bolt had struck the motor part of his electric gate. Imagine that. And it actually smashed up. For you, those of you who know the electric gates, there's like the motor at the bottom and it's in a kind of plastic casing. A lightning bolt had struck that, destroyed it. And another lightning bolt had hit another part of the compound where it seemed to have an adverse effect on the electricity supply, lights dipping and so on. That has been a major issue because I know someone else who lost 3 televisions. 3 televisions. This wasn't over the last couple of weeks, but over the last few months. So you have all of these really strange, very strange occurrences with the weather. And what we witness as well is that there'll be heavy rainfall. In fact, there was one particular school that I used to teach at in St. Augustine where the rain will fall heavy and the ground will just be a bit waterlogged. But the next day, there'll be no rain, but the ground will flood. Very, very peculiar kind of phenomena that the sun is hot, it's dry outside, but the water levels are still rising. And there have been a lot of these kinds of difficult to explain kinds of situations over the last week. It was really something else, a week to be where the crime situation is on the front burner, but at the same time is compounded with flooding. So we keep all of those who have suffered in whatever way in our prayers. Now, there are a few things that took place over the last week that I want to talk about. But of course, on the global stage, there have been so many surprises with the World Cup in Qatar. And of course, it continues today. So we have seen a number of shocks. And I was so concerned I've waited 12 years. 12 years. For that match between Ghana and Uruguay. You may recall that 12 years ago for the World Cup in South Africa, there was this match between those two teams that ended very controversially. Because an African nation has never made it into the top 4. But in 2010, Ghana was destined for the top 4. It was past the 90th minute of the game. One of the Ghana players fired a shot at goal. It was going in, and one of the Uruguayan players, Luis Suarez, stopped the ball with his hand. Of course, he was given a red card. He was sent off the field, and Ghana got a penalty. The score was level. And to score that last goal in that last minute would have taken them into the semifinals, the top 4, and we don't know what would have happened after that. Every day is a different day. But they fired the shot. Suarez stopped it with his hand. He was sent off, the penalty was given, and I guess with all the nervousness and the tension, the penalty was missed. So sad. And then the game went on and ended up being a penalty shootout, and Uruguay won the penalty shootout and went into the top 4, so undeservedly. So 12 years later, the two teams meet again, fighting for a final spot in the knockout stage, which begins today with USA versus Netherlands at 11 o'clock. And here they go into the game. Ghana get a penalty again. which was saved, and then Uruguay scores. Then Uruguay scores again. It wasn't a very pleasant game to watch based on how it turned out. So it looked like Uruguay were going ahead along with Portugal. But then all of a sudden the cameras are showing Luis Suarez sitting on the bench started to cry and cover his head with his t-shirt. I'm like, what's going on? They're winning the game. They're about to win. Why is he crying? Why is he so upset? And he got frantic and nervous, and only to discover that in the other game that was playing simultaneously, Korea beat Portugal, which meant that Korea and Portugal advanced to the next stage, and Uruguay got knocked out alongside Ghana. It was the most unexpected turn of events. And as if that wasn't shocking enough, of course, the big shock was yesterday. Brazil were the only team in the World Cup of which no one was able to get a shot on target on their goal. In the two games that they played, no one even had a proper attempt at their goal on target. And here Cameroon, who are already on their way out, beat Brazil 1-0. So you had those two shocks yesterday. But then again, throughout the tournament, you're seeing these shock results because Germany were beaten by Japan. Germany are knocked out of the tournament now. Spain were beaten by Japan. So here you have Japan. They beat Germany and they beat Spain. But our CONCACAF neighbor, Costa Rica, tiny little Costa Rica, beats Japan. France, the world champions, were beaten by Tunisia. You see, there were so many signs. Argentina was beaten by Saudi Arabia. And I don't think there are any of the top teams in this World Cup that were not beaten by a team that exited early, that was knocked out early, or that was lowly ranked. All the previous World Cup winners, Brazil won the World Cup 5 times. They were beaten by Cameroon. Germany won the World Cup 4 times. Were beaten by Japan. Spain won the World Cup in 2010. They were beaten by Japan as well. Argentina won the World Cup 2 or 3 times. I think it's twice. They were beaten by Saudi Arabia. Who else won the World Cup? Well, England. We'll see. Uruguay, who won the World Cup twice, of course, knocked out. And that's the new state of the game. You see? So you can't take anything for granted. There's always Costa Rica, like they were beaten 7-0. 7-0 in their opening game by Spain. And then they went on to beat the winners of their group. So you can't take any of these teams for granted. And for Trinidad and Tobago to make it to the World Cup, and when we did make it to the World Cup, it's such a long journey. Such a long journey, because for us, and especially as our ranking would have dropped lower, we now have 4 stages. 4 stages that we would have to go through. It's a one-on-one, home and away knockout stage to start off. Then you put in a group of 6. Then you put in another group of 6 or a group of 4. I mean, they've changed up the format, but to get that far, all 32 of those teams that you see in there would have worked so hard, gone through so much. It requires so much resources, so much financing, so much training, so many camps, so many practice games, so much administration. Takes a whole lot. And a country cannot qualify for the World Cup without having to experience playing in different temperatures, different climates, different environments, having friendly games with other teams that you'll be meeting and on the way. It's a whole lot. It's a very long journey. And this is why our national team needs the support from the beginning, not after we beat Mexico in some hard-fought game or draw with USA or, well, we haven't beaten Costa Rica, the senior team, I think, in more than 10 years. We've beaten Honduras, we've beaten Mexico, we've beaten USA. But Costa Rica seems to be our real nemesis. We haven't beaten Costa Rica, if I'm not mistaken, might be at least 20 years. And they have been able to consistently make it to the World Cup within recent times. Actually won a playoff for the last time. And they have some, I don't want to say, they have some elderly players, brother. And their main goal scorer is actually born in Jamaica. Oh, and speaking of that, there's something I have to play for you here. I have to play this for you. I need to find out exactly who sent it. But this, beloved, is deep. Now, last week on the Black Agenda, I would have started off talking about all of the black footballers who are scoring all the goals in the European countries. Okay, starting with England. England have scored 9 goals in the World Cup so far. 7 of them scored by the black players. Holland, same thing. Even Switzerland, the main goal scorer for Switzerland was born in Cameroon. Belgium, same situation. But listen to this. Listen to this. This is a video that many of you would have probably seen before, but it takes it to such another level. It's a conversation, it's a video that's on TikTok with 2 men speaking about all of the African footballers in all of the different teams in the World Cup. Now, he's not just talking about black footballers. He's talking about footballers who are either born in Africa or whose parents were born in Africa. All right, listen to this. It's just about 3 minutes.
Watching the World Cup. Yes, of course I'm watching the World Cup. Is it true? Yes. That in at least every team playing in the World Cup, yes, there's an African player. Yes, of course. Most of the teams playing in the World Cup right now has at least an African player. Very few. Yes. Qatar. In Qatar, we have Karim Boudia from Morocco. Next, Boalem Kouki, Algeria. Pedro Miguel Cavano, Cape Verde. England. In England, we have Bukayo Saka, Nigeria. That is England. Wales. Wales has Ben Kabango from Angola. Eden Abadu from Ghana. Soba Thomas from Sierra Leone. That is Wales. United States. United States has Yunus Musa from Ghana. Haji Wright from Liberia. Next, Timothy Weah from Liberia. That is United States. Australia. Australia has Keanu Bokus from South Africa. Garang Kwon, South Sudan. Awer Mabil, South Sudan. That is Australia. Denmark. Denmark has Alexander Barr from Gambia. Yusuf Poulsen from Tanzania. That is Denmark. Germany. In Germany, we have Thilo Kehrer from Burundi. Yes. Ahmed Bella Kocha from Cameroon. Sofa Mukoko from Cameroon. Serge Gnabry from Ivory Coast. Yes. Jamal Musiala from Nigeria. Leroy Sané from Senegal. And Antonio Rudiger from Sierra Leone. That is Germany. Spain. In Spain, we have Nico Williams from Ghana. Fati from Guinea-Bissau. And Alejandro Balde from Guinea. That is Spain. Belgium. In Belgium, we have Jeremy Doku from Ghana. Yes. Lois Openda from DR Congo. Romero Lukaku from DR Congo. Yoweri Tielemans from DR Congo, Miki Bushwai from DR Congo, and Amadou Onana from Senegal, Belgium, Canada. In Canada, we have Ishmael Kone from Ivory Coast, Richie Layers from Ghana, Alfonso Davis from Liberia, Ikme Ugbo from Nigeria, Samuel Akogubek from Nigeria. That is Canada. Switzerland. In Switzerland, we have Bril Mbolo. Mbolo from Cameroon. And Nelson Fernandez from Cape Verde. Manuel Akanji from Nigeria. Noah Okafor from Nigeria. Jibril Sow from Senegal. And Dennis Zakaria from South Sudan. That is Switzerland. Portugal. In Portugal, we have Nuno Mendes from Angola. William Cavano from Angola. Joao Mario from Angola. Rafael Leao from Angola. And Danilo Pereira from Guinea-Bissau. That is Portugal. France. With France, this is special. We have Karim Benzema from Algeria. Kylian Mbappe from Cameroon. Eduardo Camavinga from Angola. Jules Kounde from Benin. Oleren Chouameni, Cameroon. William Saliba, Cameroon. Dayot Upamecano, Guinea-Bissau. Ibrahim Konate, Mali. Yusuf Fofana, Mali. Mateo Guendouzi, Morocco. Steve Mandanda, DR Congo. Ronald Kolo Muai, DR Congo. Axel Disasi, DR Congo. Ousmane Dembele, Senegal. That is France. So what is your take? So my take is this. France having 15 African players in the national team, it means what? Africa has won the World Cup. Already won the World Cup. And the legit teams is only from South America and Africa. Leave us alone and we have taken this thing.
Oh, wow. So, my beloved people, don't feel too bad that some of the main African teams have not advanced. Of course, Senegal is playing England tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the knockout stage. But don't feel too bad that more African teams aren't in the finals. Africa is winning, just not as one team. All right, that's the only thing about it. But honestly, I was amazed by that video. I didn't like the sound effects too much because I thought they were a little bit of a distraction. But it was good for the video, but to play it over on radio. But there you go. All of those European countries. I think the only exceptions are maybe Croatia and, well, just Croatia, I guess. Oh, yes. That was a nice pick me up there. So, now there's something that I want to speak about in the second hour. All right. But just to give a quick rundown on where we are with the World Cup. Of course, today Holland play United States. So this is the knockout stage. Holland play the United States. Then later on today, Argentina play Australia. And then tomorrow, England play Senegal. And France play Poland. These are the knockout games, of course. Japan play Croatia. Brazil plays South Korea. You have to watch out for Japan and South Korea. Morocco plays Spain. And Portugal plays Switzerland. And of course, there's interesting history in many games in the World Cup. Of course, Iran versus the United States was a major clash. And at the press conference with the coach and one of the players, who was one of the black players, McKenna, I think his name is, or McKenney, he was asked by the Iranian media. He said, you know, America has complained so much about the World Cup being in Qatar with the so-called human rights violations. And how do you feel as a black man playing for the United States of America, who has had and still has so much racism against black people? Those are the cutting edge questions that are coming out of the media from those countries. And like I said, something I'm going to talk about in the 8 o'clock hour, but there's something, beloved, that for the likes of me, I cannot understand why it has not been in the Trinidad and Tobago media. But there's something very big that's coming out of Barbados right now, where I'll just give you a sneak peek. I think I'm going to open the telephone lines now and then get into this at 8 o'clock, because I really can't get into it before that and do the topic justice. But basically, with all of the proposals for reparations, a member of parliament from England, his name is Richard Drax, has traveled over to meet with the government of Barbados to discuss paying back reparations for some of what his family benefited from through the slave trade. Member of Parliament Richard Drax is one of the wealthiest British MPs. And our beloved sister, Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados, had him come over. This was last week. He flew over to Barbados to sit in a meeting with members of the government of Barbados, the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, a couple of the other ministers, to discuss reparations from his family, as his family were major architects, profiteers, and beneficiaries of the slave trade. And what was so impressive about that interaction, which we haven't got the full details on exactly what was agreed to as yet, I would imagine some of it will be kept confidential up to a point. But what was so impressive is that they made these overtures to him, basically did their research, again through Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, identified him and said, listen, our records show that all of this wealth that you have in England is as a result of what your family stole from African people and the system of slavery that you all benefited from in Barbados. We are inviting you to come over and have these discussions with us pertaining to reparations. Now, he didn't have to go, but he went. But the most impressive part about it to me was that the government of Barbados and Prime Minister Mia Mottley did not genuflect at his feet. They made it clear from the beginning that if these discussions do not go the way that we intend for them to go, we will be taking legal action. Now that is strength. Now, how come that wasn't on the news in Trinidad? I mean, the way we think sometimes, you have any member of parliament from a place like England coming to our shores. Oh, we'll have government ministers coming out to the airport and greeting him and hugging him and putting flowers over his neck and giving him the royal treatment. It's a shame. If a sitting member of parliament from England had visited Trinidad in any capacity to have talks with the government, it would have been on the news. But here, a sitting British member of parliament is coming over to the Caribbean to meet with the government of Barbados, led by their prime minister, to discuss reparations. Not to discuss taking our oil and taking our gas, or building some mall in our country that they're going to profit from and employ all our people at $12.50 an hour, came to talk about reparations. And they warned him in advance. Yeah, we're happy that you're coming. We appreciate the fact that you did not have to respond. We respect you for that. But please note that if we cannot come to an agreement based on our calculations, we will be taking legal action against you. And that will not go well for someone who is in government as a multi-billionaire politician. It's not going to go well for you. So he went over to Barbados, and that meeting would have taken place on behalf of the entire Caribbean community. That is leadership, beloved. To look at the former slave master straight in the eye and say it's time for justice. Not to look at the former slave master in the face and say, how can we continue to be of service to you? So we will monitor closely what comes out of that. But again, why wasn't that in our news? It's all over the news in England. And what's unfortunate is another story is eclipsing that, that really should be related to it, because there's a black woman in England of Caribbean heritage. Her name is Sister Ngozi Fulani. She is in charge of an organization called Sister Space, where they represent the rights of black women who are victims of domestic violence. And this magnificent sister, Ngozi Fulani, was invited to Buckingham Palace last week by the royal family in tribute to her charity work, her activism, her helping people in her community. And when she got there, Prince William's godmother, her name is Lady Hussey, who is, or at least was, what they call the lady in waiting for the Queen of England. She met her, and Lady Hussey, who's 83 years old, first mistake she made was she touched her hair. You don't touch a black woman's hair. You don't do that without their consent and permission. She moved her dreadlocks aside to read her name tag, and then she said, where are you from? And Sister Ngozi said, I'm from Sister Space. That's the organization. She said, no, I mean, where are you from? She said, well, I'm from Hackney in East London. And then she said, no, where are you really from? Now, this is where it starts to get awkward. And then she asked, which part of Africa are you from? And it went on and on and on, pushing this, where are you really from? To make a long story short, the royal family dismissed their associate. She was fired or she resigned, whichever of the two. Buckingham Palace apologized. They condemned it as racism. The new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, said we must confront racism. Prince William, Prince Harry, all of them condemned the racism of that interaction, and they apologized on behalf of Buckingham Palace, and they invited the sister back. All of that is cool, that there are heightened levels of sensitivity towards matters of racism. But what would have been even better is if we link that with this Member of Parliament, Richard Drax, who acknowledged that his family benefited from slavery and colonialism. And that they used this Buckingham Palace issue because it's on the front page of all of the newspapers in England. This beautiful black woman with these dreadlocks who was invited to Buckingham Palace and was disrespected in that way. But if this can be used as a catalyst to understand the dynamics of colonialism and racism, it would serve us all in the long run. Stay with us.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the Street 919 FM.
Want to furnish your home in style? Stylus Furniture makes this possible. Shop using our affordable layaway options to purchase any of our modern sectionals, dining, living room, or bedroom sets, and receive a dinner voucher for 2 at Ateliers Restaurant and Lounge. For further information, contact us at 652-2542, 652-2688, and 790-1202. You can also visit any of our branches located at 101 Prackness Village, Princestown, and 51 Rushwood Street in San Fernando. Stylus Furniture, for the style in you.
Scotiabank Magna MasterCard is back with its special Christmas giveaway. Just swipe for more rewards. Every time you swipe your card, get instantly entered for a chance to win 1,500 points on your Scotiabank Magna MasterCard. Get more this Christmas. More points, more rewards, more money. Swipe for more rewards today with your Scotiabank Magna MasterCard. Promotion runs until January 15th, 2023. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Visit MagnaRewards.com for more details. Approved by the NLCB.
You want to learn about all the 101 things we have to do right here in Tobago?
Then join us at the We Are Tobago Roadshow,
where all our local experiences,
our food, our people, and our culture take center stage.
We Are Tobago takes to the Sid Gray Stadium in Roxborough on Thursday, 1st December. You have from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And if you can't make it there,
we head downtown to the Scarborough Esplanade on Tuesday, 6th December from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Come, support your local vendors
and meet with your tourism stakeholders.
The We Are Tobago Roadshow is brought to you by the Tobago Tourism Agency, the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities, and Transportation,
and the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association.
The We Are Tobago Roadshow is on. Remember, it's on Thursday, 1st December in Roxborough, and on Tuesday, December 6th on the Scarborough Esplanade. We Are Tobago.
This is the voice of the PNM. It's our Golden Convention. The PNM family will assemble at the Queen's Park Savannah for our 50th National Convention, our Golden Convention. Join us on Sunday, December 4th at the Grandstand, Queen's Park Savannah. Party delegates and members, registration opens at 8 a.m. The convention will begin at 10 a.m. Voting will take place from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. All PNM supporters, come celebrate with us at 12 noon. Hear from a powerful lineup of speakers. Come enjoy entertainment by top soca stars, calypsonians, harang, dance groups, and more. It's a celebration. Bring the family to enjoy the kids' play area and a sports corner to keep up to date with the latest scores. Be there on Sunday, 4th December at the Grandstand, Queen's Park, Savannah for PNM's Golden Convention. Great is the PNM.
91.9 is counting down 91 days of Christmas. Yes, 91 days of Christmas. It's karaoke, prizes to be won, giveaways. It's the 91 days of Christmas on the Street. 919 FM.
I could sing a good serenade. Oh, it's Christmas.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM radio. Here my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
The steel pan, the only musical instrument invented in the 20th century, is a reflection of the perseverance and innovativeness of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, which have always been central to our development as a nation. And the steel pan story epitomizes this, carved out of life and struggle and determination, rising out of the spirit of the African drum. The steel pan stands today as evidence of innovativeness, creativity, and passion for life integral to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Kwesi Paul. Join me each and every Sunday from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight on the Street 91.9 FM.
Looking for a safe and relaxed professional massage therapist and nutritionist? Look no further. Nature's Touch with Empress Judy and Associates offers a natural approach to better health. Treat yourself to a professional massage therapy and nutrition advice in a safe and relaxed atmosphere. Rejuvenate your body, mind, and soul at Nature's Touch Therapy. For an appointment, please call or WhatsApp 1-868-398-8282 or visit our Facebook page. Remember, your health is our responsibility at Nature's Touch.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory.
Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen.
So there's a need for brotherhood.
Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen. Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen.
Brotherhood is demanded.
Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen.
Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory. Brotherhood is essential, it is urgent, and it is compulsory. But the time demands brotherhood. Whenever the dominant white society fears for its economic future, racial tensions are always aggravated. The aim of Almighty God is to bring the black man and woman together. The aim of Almighty God is that we, no matter how divided we have been in the past, must experience unity in order to gain the success that we seek and the progress that we desire. There is no way that a divided people can build is demanded. So there's a need for brotherhood. But if you walk the earth proud and arrogant, you never learn your lesson because you think you already know. And how the hell could you know and be in the shape that we're in? How can there be any brotherhood if there's not even the honoring of a word?
Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen. Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen. Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen.
But the Quran and the Bible bear witness that the heavens and the earth were created with truth.
Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen.
Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory. Brotherhood is essential. It is urgent and it is compulsory.
Welcome back and welcome to the second hour of the Black Agenda here on the Street 919 FM. Going up to 9 o'clock, I will open the telephone lines, inshallah, in a short while. Remember as well, while we've finished our second cycle of Saturday morning sessions of the George Padmore Boys Academy at the Kwame Ture Center, we did 20 sessions with our beloved young brothers, and we're resuming on, I think it's the 21st of January. It's the third Saturday in January. Let me get that for you. That will be, the 21st of January. So, having another grand reorientation, Saturday, January 21st. More than a month away, but the work continues in between that. Because, of course, every Sunday, 11 o'clock in the morning, we have our open sessions at the Kwame Ture Center, including tomorrow. And one thing I want you to put down on your calendar is African Expo number 13. Now, don't miss this one, beloved. African Expo number 13 is coming up, and it's going to be held on Saturday, December 17th, 2022 at the Kwame Ture Center. And of course, as usual, we will have African clothing, artifacts, there'll be technology, cell phones, you can order computers, we have jewelry, of course, magnificent food, there's the ice cream, different delicacies, books, speeches, information. Of course, there'll also be service providers such as health. There's the foot massages, the neck massages. There's the health clinic. Of course, Dr. Desmond Phillips and his beloved family. There's just so much. There's just household items, so many different things. This is African Expo number 13, the Black Market at the Kwame Ture Center on Saturday, December 17th, coming up. And of course, this has been one of our major projects to encourage the support for black business, to encourage black entrepreneurship, but in particular for us to network with one another, to establish that skills bank and think tank, we should be able to refer our people to each other for different goods and services, for our plumbers and electricians, our masons, mechanics, and carpenters. And anyone among us that's talented in whatever occupation or profession, all of this is part of the idea behind our African Expos. It's not just to purchase items, have food, enjoy a nice family day out, but also for us to network with one another and build a solid foundation for a people's movement and organization that could benefit our entire black community, spreading and spanning throughout the Caribbean region, networking with our people. So I want you to put that day down. I want you to make it a priority to attend and support and encourage, bring our people to the Black Market African Expo number 13. Of course, 1 to 12 have taken place over the last 3 years or so, and we're proud to be on number 13. So that's Saturday, December 17th, throughout the day at the Kwame Ture Center. We normally open our doors at 10 o'clock. We'll get kicking by 11. We're supposed to go up to 6, but we always go after 6. 1 or 2 of them, we've even went up to 9 o'clock in the evening. But it's a beautiful atmosphere. There's available parking space for everyone. Of course, the whole building is secured. It's a wonderful neighborhood. Just positive vibes, good energy, an atmosphere of love and togetherness within our community. So, African Expo number 13, Saturday, December 17th. And you'll notice that many different groups are starting to have these kinds of expos now, which we encourage, which we support. And once it's our people, we try to ensure that we also have a setup in the other black markets or expos that there are around. But I want you to understand something about the Kwame Ture Center, about the Black Agenda Project Organization. We're not funded by anyone. We don't receive a check or a grant. We're not supported by the ministry of this or the ministry of that, and no one comes and cuts the ribbon and we take pictures with a member of parliament or the senator or the political leader or the government minister or the members of the opposition or whoever it is. It's not that kind of organization. We're black, independent, black owned, self-sufficient. And among us, within us, we have our own human resources. And all of that is part of the teaching to the next generation. Our next generation of young people must be made aware of the kind of consciousness that is necessary to carry the torch for justice and liberation for our people in the future. And one of the main matters that must be instilled within the hearts and minds of our African youth who are within the school system is the call for, the plea for, the negotiations for reparations for the injustices and the crimes against humanity that were done to African people. So, this week in England, a great black woman by the name of Ngozi Fulani, who is a charity founder. She's the leader of a group called Sister Space, where they represent black women who were the victims of domestic abuse. She was invited to Buckingham Palace in England, headed by the royal family, to honor her for her activism. And the late Queen Elizabeth's lady-in-waiting, Lady Susan Hussey, who's 83 years old, a senior colleague, associate of the royal family, accosted Ngozi Fulani. She asked her where she was from. She said she's from her organization, Sister Space. Then Lady Hussey asked her, no, where are you from? What place? And she said, I'm from Hackney in East London. And then she said, no, where are you really from? She said, I'm from England. I was born here. And then she went down this road of badgering her. No, but what part of Africa are you from? And apparently she moved her dreadlocks aside to read her name tag. And of course, by now, it would have long gotten offensive. Now, we do live in different times because Lady Susan Hussey had to step down from her job at Buckingham Palace. She is no longer to be involved in hosting occasions at the Buckingham Palace or be closely associated with the royal family. There were all of these apologies for the racism that was demonstrated there. Even a spokesperson for Prince William said racism has no place in our society. The comments were unacceptable, and it is right that the individual has stepped aside with immediate effect. So the royal family condemned the racism. Buckingham Palace condemned the racism. The new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, again condemned racism in this context. And all of that is progressive. However, all of this was taking place simultaneously to something else that was happening coming out of England, where a British member of Parliament by the name of Richard Drax was invited to Barbados to make plans to pay reparations for their family's slavery past. According to the Guardian newspaper of the United Kingdom, November 26, 2022, Member of Parliament Richard Drax was reported to have visited the Caribbean island, Barbados, for meeting on the next steps, including plans for their former sugar plantation on Barbados. The article says the government of Barbados is considering plans to make a wealthy conservative MP the first individual to pay reparations for his ancestors' pivotal role in slavery. The Observer newspaper understands that Richard Drax, Member of Parliament for South Dorset, recently traveled to Barbados for a private meeting with the country's Prime Minister, Mia Mottley. A report is now before Mottley's cabinet laying out the next steps, which include legal action in the event that no agreement is reached with Member of Parliament Richard Drax. Now, my first question is, why wasn't this on the news in Trinidad and Tobago? In our post-colonial Caribbean societies, there tends to be this kind of idolization and political worship of the British Westminster system and its politicians. And here you have a sitting Member of Parliament leaving England to come to Trinidad, not to talk about some cricket match or to talk about building some mall or for carnival or for some ribbon cutting event, to talk about reparations, paying for the crimes against humanity that were committed against African people by the British, in particular us here in the Caribbean. And it's not on the news in Trinidad and Tobago. The Drax family pioneered, according to the Guardian newspaper in the United Kingdom, they pioneered the plantation system in the 17th century and played a major role in the development of sugar and slavery across the Caribbean and the United States. Barbados Member of Parliament Trevor Prescott, chairman of Barbados' National Task Force on Reparations, part of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, said the United Nations had declared slavery to be a crime against humanity. If the issue cannot be resolved, we would take legal action in the international courts. The case against the Drax family would be for hundreds of years of slavery, so it's likely any damages would go well beyond the value of the land. This is how political leadership is supposed to represent its people. The article continues, countries in the Caribbean community have been campaigning for the payment of reparations by former colonial powers and institutions which profited from slavery. This is the first time a family has been singled out. Among the plans being considered are that 17th century Drax Hall is turned into an Afrocentric museum and that a large portion of the plantation is used for social housing for low-income families in Barbados. There is also a recommendation that Richard Drax pays for the work. Our beloved brother, David Kamiziong, who is the Barbados ambassador to CARICOM, the English newspaper didn't call him our beloved brother. He's my brother, right? Chairman of the task force and ambassador to CARICOM, David Kamiziong, said that besides the Drax family, other families whose ancestors benefited from slavery are being considered, including the British royal family. Now look at that. Here, the British royal family once again is under the microscope for racism being practiced right out of Buckingham Palace, and the whole British media and worldwide, because Prince William and his wife are touring America trying to change the image of the royal family. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan are about to release a Netflix series that will probably highlight more racism in the royal family. But the big issue here is not so much the drama, but it is the justice for the crimes against humanity that were committed against African people in the Caribbean and reparations. Remember, beloved, on March the 11th, 2014, all 15 heads of government in the Caribbean met in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and unanimously agreed to the 10-point plan of action for reparations. It is moments like this that must be used as a catalyst to highlight these matters that have become secondary while the drama has become primary. The Guardian continues, it's now a matter that is before the government of Barbados. It is being dealt with at the highest level. Richard Drax is famously wealthy today. The Drax family is the central family in the whole story of enslavement in Barbados. This is the research that the English media did. They are, the Drax family, the architects of slavery-based sugar production. They have a deep historical responsibility. The process has only just begun, and we trust that we will be able to negotiate. If that doesn't work, there are other methods, including litigation. Other families are involved, though not as prominently as the Draxes. This reparations journey has begun. The matter is now for the Cabinet of Barbados. It is in motion. It is being dealt with. Drax came under the spotlight in December 2020 after the Observer newspaper revealed he had not declared his inheritance of the 617 acres Drax Hall plantation. He did so only after official documents surfaced, which named him as the owner. He had inherited the plantation, valued at 12.5 million Barbados dollars, which is 5.25 million pounds, from his father, Walter Drax, in 2017. You see how we farmed them out? They're politicians in Europe, but they still own hundreds of millions of dollars in property in the Caribbean. And sometimes they will pay for the complicity of those with influence and authority and get away with the continuation of the beneficiary of their crimes. Richard Drax, 64 years old, lives at the family's mansion in Charborough Park, Dorset, England. He and his family are worth at least 150 million British pounds. That is close to $1 billion TT dollars, and own 23.5 square miles in Dorset and the estate and Grousemore in Yorkshire. The family also own 125 Dorset properties personally or through family trusts and a £4.5 million holiday villa on nearby sandbanks. Drax's ancestor, Sir James Drax, was one of the first Englishmen to colonize Barbados in the early 17th century. He part-owned at least 2 slave ships, one named the Samuel and one named the Hope. How could a man own slave ships, own slave plantations, buy and sell Africans, and have the money from that still in his family today, and no one think that that should not be given back or seized? But you see, consciousness is spreading in this day and time, and this is why we're so heavily reliant, so heavily dependent on our children, on our youth. This is why the idea for reparations must be instilled through the educational curriculum. It's a major government policy of CARICOM. Why are we trying to hide it and cover it up? To protect the white people who got all that wealth? Or is it that some of those who are trying to cover it up are benefiting from the crumbs from that wealth? The Drax family also owned a plantation in Jamaica, which they sold in the 19th century. And when slavery was abolished across the British Empire in 1833, the family received £4,293 in compensation, a very large sum in 1836, in compensation for freeing 189 enslaved Africans. But the Member of Parliament in Barbados, Trevor Prescott, he added, quote, "The Drax family had slave ships. They had agents in the African continent and kidnapped black African people to work on their plantations here in Barbados. I have no doubt that what would have motivated them was that they never perceived us to be equal to them. They never saw us as human beings. They considered us as chattel." And I want to remind us as well that on July 19th, 2022, Dennis O'Brien, founder and chairman of Digicel, cell phone company, announced what he referred to as the Repair Campaign, a plan to deliver reparations for slavery to Caribbean countries. Digicel said the aim for their reparations plan is for former European colonizing countries to create an investment funding arrangement for each country in the Caribbean affected by slavery. Why wasn't this also featured in the Trinidad and Tobago media? According to Jamaica Loop News, July 25th, 2022, Dennis O'Brien of Digicel revealed the plan while delivering the keynote address at Canto 2022 at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami. Called the Repair Campaign, the fund will be used to promote major projects in agriculture, health, and education, among other sectors, over 25 years. He said slavery is a crime, a high crime against heaven, and its annihilation ought not to be postponed. Think, beloved. Remember, I told you already about the University of Glasgow, who agreed to pay 20 million British pounds in reparations to atone for its historical links to the transatlantic slave trade. They signed an agreement with the University of the West Indies to fund a joint centre. The Glasgow University in Scotland, through their own research, discovered that they benefited financially from Scottish slave traders in the 18th and 19th centuries by between 17 million and 200 million British pounds in today's money. And so they, as well as other British universities, including Oxford and Bristol, have also begun their investigations over how they would have benefited from slavery, what they owe, and what they should pay back. But here we are in Caribbean societies now, still holding on to our relationship with the royal family. And all of that racism that's being highlighted in the royal family, it is time to transform those discoveries and acknowledgements into reparations for African people in the Caribbean. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
We are the street. 919 FM. The only radio station bringing perfect balance between entertainment and talk. Updating you with current affairs and social issues.
So what, we should just sit down and take the foolishness that's being meted out because of you feel that all you're real bad?
Right? Unlike his situation that I don't even want to go back and bring up and highlight.
You don't have a good record where that is concerned?
Having you in the loop with trends and entertainment. Providing music that lives on.
Darling, I feel the disco.
And spiritual food for the body, mind, and soul.
Satan soul face, we're not taking that.
The Street. 919 FM.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the Street 919 FM.
This is Ronald Boynes. I seek your support to be the next political leader of the PNM. I have chosen as my watchwords respect, empowerment, and growth. As I have traveled across the length and breadth of our country, I have listened very closely to the concerns of our party members. It has to do with alienation, disconnect, and disrespect between the ground troops, our foot soldiers, the very heart of our party, and those who currently hold the reins of power. After the hard work of putting our party in government, many of our members feel neglected, and some have become quite disenchanted, as nothing for you seems to be the order of the day. For many, it does not feel as if the PNM has been in government for 7 years, as their views on unemployment, infrastructure, and crime in their communities are simply not being heard, far less action. I pledge to bring the love, unity, and respect back to the membership of our great party. Your vote is your voice. Great is the PNM, and it shall prevail.
You want to learn about all the 101 things we have to do right here in Tobago?
Then join us at the We Are Tobago Roadshow,
where all our local experiences,
our food, our people, and our culture take center stage.
We Are Tobago takes to the Sid Gray Stadium in Roxborough on Thursday, 1st December. You have from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And if you can't make it there,
we head downtown to the Scarborough Esplanade on Tuesday, 6th December from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Come, support your local vendors
and meet with your tourism stakeholders.
The We Are Tobago Roadshow is brought to you by the Tobago Tourism Agency, the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities, and Transportation,
and the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association.
The We Are Tobago Roadshow is on. Remember, it's on Thursday, 1st December in Roxborough, and on Tuesday, December 6th on the Scarborough Esplanade. We Are Tobago.
This is the voice of the PNM. It's our Golden Convention. The PNM family will assemble at the Queen's Park Savannah for our 50th National Convention, our Golden Convention. Join us on Sunday, December 4th at the Grandstand, Queen's Park Savannah. Party delegates and members, registration opens at 8 a.m. The convention will begin at 10 a.m. Voting will take place from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. All PNM supporters, come celebrate with us at 12 noon. Hear from a powerful lineup of speakers. Come enjoy entertainment by top soca stars, calypsonians, parang, dance groups, and more. It's a celebration. Bring the family to enjoy the kids' play area and a sports corner to keep up to date with the latest scores. Be there on Sunday, 4th December at the Grandstand, Queen's Park Savannah for PNM's Golden Convention. Great is the PNM.
This Saturday, December 3rd.
We set the stage for the biggest and final event of the year. Michelle. At the Garden Center of Excellence. In the temple.
Howie T, Ishmael, the Demolition Man, D Professionals, Sensational Sammy, Dr. Ross, Kabuki, Super Hot, and Shockmaster Dave.
Hurry, get your limited general tickets for $200 and also your VIP tickets at 63 Lounge on the Avenue.
Extra foods.
Nova Glen, the mobile store, Tragreed Road.
Fats International Stores.
New Wave Apparel, San Fernando.
Bobby's Bar, Curep, La Luna Diner, Aruca, Cache Stores, Scrapes Car Wash, and Laundry, Trin City.
Just Deals exclusive at Arima Drag Mall.
Sensational Sammy Seafood, Arima, and online at suntix.com.
Or call Michelle's hotline at 376-0326 for special group packages.
This Saturday, December 3rd, at the Center of Excellence, we will all rise and reconnect to Michelle's.
This is the voice of Tuesday, Seventh-day Adventist. We are preaching Emergency Alert broadcast, which is from the Tuesday, Seventh-day Adventist Church. We will be featuring voices of brethren from different parts of the world, preaching the gospel, preaching prophecy as it relates to current events and the ending of the world. Listen to us on 91.9 FM every Sunday from 9:05 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Sundays. May God bless you as you learn the truth. In Jesus' name, amen.
You hear that 91.9 giving out 91 gifts to 91 children?
Girl, where you hear that from?
Mommy, everybody talking about it.
Look, don't confuse me.
Mommy, it's simple. All you have to do is keep your radio locked on the street 91.9. And when they say call in, just lend me a phone so I can get a Christmas gift.
What trouble is this? I hope you know your schoolwork, like how you know all of this.
That's simple. Join us as we celebrate 91 days of Christmas. Join us as we celebrate 91 days with 91 gifts this Christmas. It's simple.
And when they say call in, just lend me a phone so I can get a Christmas gift.
91 days of Christmas. Keep it locked on the street. 919 FM.
Oh God, Mommy, I just want to be part of the 91 days. I promise I'll be good. I promise I'll do good in my schoolwork.
My fellow members of the PNM, I am Junior Samuel Barrack, candidate for political leader of our beloved PNM. I am one of the most effective, successful, and fearless representatives of your interests in the history of this PNM in delivering to its base. I get things done. You are assured that I will put you first in everything that I do. As you are aware, I have been involved in improving the lives of thousands of families in unofficial settlements, commonly referred to as squatters. We invite you to support our campaign by donating to our First Citizens account number 181-7916, Junior Samuel Barrack. Your contribution can support ads like these and our campaign to spread our message.
That was a paid political announcement.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
I hope I was on there, different microphone. So, we're opening up the telephone lines. We're taking your calls on 342-0081 and 466-5391. So let's go to the phone lines. Hold on a second. Caller, can you hear me?
Oh yes, dear doctor.
Lovely. Good morning.
A pleasant morning to you, Dr. Mohammed.
Yes, sir.
And philosopher and dear good teacher. To your relatives, the institution, and by extension, the nation of Islam. Dear doctor, after listening to your editorial, this is one of the mornings I will not do long, but I'll get to the point. You know, after listening to you, one thing is just edging in my mind, and I'll keep it real with you. Why did the government cannot appoint you, doctor, as a facilitator or someone to head all African affairs, anything to do with the international community? For instance, and this is my opinion, for instance, that MP from England is there, and from the time they get wind of it, and I know you are following all these things, you're tracking all these things, the government should appoint you. And I'm saying, let me say this, to all the PNM activists who want to come for me, hey, my celebrate. I'm not another politics. I'm dealing with a government issue here, a governance issue. And when we talk in terms of African people business and reparation and anything from chattel slavery till date, I am saying, it's not the doctor that's saying that, it's a concerned caller, Mr. Savaki, is speaking in the mic this morning, and I'm saying, come on, what we waiting on? Are you seeing what the doctor is doing? Are you seeing it? And doctor, I don't like to call every minute to repeat myself, but a morning like this, I believe I must make that big clarion call. And I am calling on the Honorable Prime Minister, the head of the Government and Cabinet, to appoint the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator Amy Brown, to have discussion with you and give you that title. And if so be we decide, okay, we want some other person from any other group, no problem. But I'm saying we want somebody who will track this thing, who will be able to deal with this reparation once and for all, who will be able to deal with government. Because, brother, let me say this, look a little angry this morning, and I tell you what, I cannot understand you will have, and people don't vex with me, but doctor, I've got to bring it real to you this morning. I cannot understand for the life of me. You have the head who is African, senior government minister is African. Why not call it? This thing is not about fame and to look good, you know. This thing is to deal and put to rest the pain and trauma what took place within slavery against our ancestors. And who is the better person to deal with that? You, Dr. Mohammed. You didn't ask for this cycle. You didn't say, Tabakit, I want you to call and talk about this. No! And as I take my leave, I make a clarion call to the government because I know they have the people listening. Please, call in Dr. Mohammed and appoint him as the liaison, as that person who will interact with whatever country. Now, doctor, let me say this, and I've got to say, I want to congratulate Mia Mockley. This woman, doctor, is standing out on all world stage. And look at the respect she's getting. And I'm saying, I'm not taking away anything from Dr. Rowley. Yes, he's a brilliant brother. But whosoever is pulling Dr. Rowley's strings, leave him alone and let him call him Dr. Mohammed. And I'm saying, yeah, so the political prostitutes do not come for me. This thing has nothing to do with all your petty party politics, but this deals with the heart of reparation against our ancestors, the atrocities, what have been infiltrated in slavery. And to me, the best person to appoint Dr. Rowley and Amy Brown to track everything in terms of reparation, so that the Africans in Trinidad, which I know money will not go to individual groups, it will go where, to develop for education, for instance. You have the Kwame Educational Institution. And here it is, and I leave it there. You already have the model and the catalyst. So what will happen? Carolina is the largest holder of land. We have 41 constituencies. You know what? We will give this brother 41 acres. So this brother now will be able to take that money, educate the Africans, because you can't put money in people's hands. And that is where I believe that is how you do it. As I take my lead, I make a clarion call to the government, calling Dr. Mohammed, appoint him as that liaison officer to deal with reparation, so he could now liaise with the international community, and that minister or MP from England is in Barbados. Dr. Mohammed is the person. Doctor, I thank you for giving me this opportunity, and God bless you, inshallah.
Thank you for your call. 3420081 and 4665391. Good morning, caller.
A blessed morning to you, Brother David.
Good morning, sir. Not hearing you very, very clearly, but go ahead.
I endorse Tabakit with appointing you in the Ministry of Home Affairs. They was watching you because the history of this reparation is very serious. And what happened in Barbados and is being carried, well, I don't know if it's carried in Jamaica and these other places, but according to you, the news is silent about it. You see, we have let me say 1%, the planters still operating in Trinidad and Tobago.
Exactly. And I think there's more of an influence in Trinidad than in places like Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana.
Because Brother David, I don't know if we, according to you, if we so like it, like the slavery mentality still holding on to we now and just going along with what it is going along. But I want to touch on this point. This woman who tried to embarrass Miss Philip, was she said that she was born in England. You know, you remember the Rush system, what happened the other day? They wanted to send back the Jamaicans who were there for 50-something and 60-something years. They don't like we. They don't like Africans, especially these black Africans here right now. And you see the history that is being taught right now. Let us know our history and feed ourselves, Brother David, because according to what's going on, after slavery, they put us in a mentality and a dependency syndrome. And to know about our own planting. Because alongside what was going on in slavery, we were doing our own thing, and better local than foreign. After but Brother David, thank you very much for the information. And I think somewhere in the constitutional book, talking about we have something concerning slavery. And I get the information a short phrase, but what I'm saying is that like slavery is still going on in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Brother David.
Good morning to you. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Great.
I just calling to say thank you very much for supporting our event in New Grand.
Oh, yes.
Last weekend, the Simon was powerful. The
Yes.
message was beautiful. So come January, we'll be having a whole symposium with you all.
Right.
So I'm putting myself early. Right. But David, I just want our people to know the work that you are doing, you understand, and people don't waste it, please. All right, you have a good day.
Thank you so much, my beloved sister. And let me say, we have such a powerful, enlightened, and conscious community down there in New Grant. Oh, Sister Pearl, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and blessings to you. Good morning, caller. You're on there.
Let me say good morning to you, Brother Mohammed.
Good morning, sir.
I am very why I ain't called this program.
Right. And let me just say the countdown is on, so you just have like a
Yes, I know that. I know that. I can't coordinate. But let me say that in a minute time, very fast.
Go on.
Brother Mohammed, as you know, I always say the problem for African people in this country is PNM. And yesterday, listening to my good brother, my big brother, in this struggle, like you, Harvey Boris. And Harvey Boris said that when he go council and he raised African concern, that there is people, African ministers, getting up and shoot him down, hit him a bullet in the head. How it could be? How it could be a man like Harvey Boris, a man who loves his country, African ministers getting up and shooting him down for speaking and asking what about the African community? What about land? What about jobs? Today, when you pass you on the avenue, you see big contractor doing some work for the big boys and for Dr. Rowdy and all of them. Let me say this and tell the African people in this country understand that UN is the problem, PNM is the problem. PNM is the problem for the African community in Trinidad and Tobago. Because until these ministers distance themselves, what Harvey Boris said yesterday on national radio, what a shame on Olio. What a shame. Going council amongst in birth, Stuart Young, and a black man raised up, trying to ask fight a scrum for the African community, and ministers, African ministers, getting up and shoot him down. Brother Mohammed, I have more to say about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let me say, I admire my good friend and brother Harvey Boris for his efforts within political circles. I mean, let's face it, let's be real, that African politicians in this country are not known to be conscious people as far as their race is concerned. And Brother Harvey Boris, I know he's been hosting some conversations on reparations recently. Keep it up. Stay tuned to the Street 919 FM. Assalamu alaikum.